Most people think aging weakens your legs, but it's how you move that determines how you age. And for millions over 50, movement has quietly become the crisis of stealing strength, stability, and independence. But in Japan, something different is happening. Elders there aren't just living longer, they're thriving with balance, strength, and flexibility into their 80s, 90s, even past 100. So in this episode, Japan's oldest doctor is telling us the daily movement ritual Japanese elders use to stay strong and independent, and how anyone over 50 can adapt it starting today. Welcome back to the Senior Health Podcast. Today we are exploring simple, floor-based movements practiced in Japan for nearly a century in which no gym, weights, or expensive gear is required. Because in Japan, over 95,000 people are living past 100, and most are still active, independent, and taking few medications. But in the US, the average person loses their health by 66, then spends more than a decade in pain, weakness, and decline. Doctor, how is this even possible?
It is indeed a shocking statistic, John. And that gap isn't just medicine, it's movement. And what we never learned to do with our own bodies and forgetting what we could.
That's a powerful way to start, and honestly, I think that hits hard for a lot of people. So to everyone listening, this episode will be your lifesaver when it comes to your independence.
All the time, John, people over 50 come to me with complaints that feel inevitable. I'm just getting old, they say. My legs don't work like they used to. But in Japan, we've proven something different, that strength and mobility are not age-bound. They are habit-bound. What we're going to talk about today isn't theory. These are 6 real movements done every day by elders across Japan. No expensive machines, no gyms, just positions that restore the body's natural design. They activate muscle chains, improve circulation, and rebuild confidence, especially after 60. We'll walk through all 6 today, one by one. I'll explain where they come from, what they do to the body, and how anyone, no matter their current level, can begin. And if you stay with us until the end, you can request our free detailed exercise sheet by leaving a comment.
That exercise sheet really is a gift, doctor. So what you're saying is, the pain, the stiffness, the weakness we feel might be real. But if we misread the cause, we end up chasing the wrong fix entirely?
Exactly, and in chasing the wrong solution, we lose time, strength, and often our independence. But we can fix that. Let's begin.
It's not always big injuries that steal our strength. It's the small things we stop doing. We stop getting on the floor, we stop stretching, and slowly our range of motion disappears. So what's the first movement you teach seniors after 50?
I always start with Shikodachi. It means 4-legged stance or Sumo stance. But don't let the name intimidate you. It's not about size or force. It's about grounding. This posture teaches the legs how to hold you again. After 60, the thighs, glutes, and hips begin to forget their job. This position reminds them gently but powerfully, and it's why Japanese elders stay so strong in the legs, even at 90.
That's incredible, because we tend to avoid any kind of squatting in Western aging care. It's seen as risky or unnecessary.
And yet, that's exactly why we decline. We avoid the very movements that maintain our independence. The body doesn't fail because of use. It fails because of disuse.
So, how does Shikodachi work, especially for someone who hasn't done anything like it in years?
You begin with a wide stance, feet about twice the width of your shoulders, toes angled out slightly. Then you slowly lower your hips, like you're about to sit between your legs. Not deep, just enough to feel the legs activate. Keep your chest lifted, your spine neutral. If balance is a concern, use a wall or chair for support, and you only need to hold it for 30 seconds to start. That's enough to re-engage the exact muscle chains responsible for climbing stairs, standing from a chair, and walking without effort.
You're describing the glutes, quads, and inner thighs, the same muscles that protect the knees and hips, right?
Yes, and especially the inner thigh muscles, the adductors. They're often forgotten, but they're essential for pelvic stability and coordination. Shikodachi brings them back to life.
That explains why elders in Japan don't just live longer, they move better. We're used to thinking about squats in the gym, under heavy weight, but this isn't about intensity. It's about reactivating natural posture and strength.
Correct. In fact, biomechanical studies from both Tokyo University and the American Journal of Geriatric Physical Therapy show that isometric holds like Shikodachi recruit more muscle fibers than typical bodyweight squats. It's safer too, no joint loading, no bouncing. You're building strength by simply holding yourself upright, and that holding builds deep stability. And another benefit is hip opening. Tight hips are one of the biggest causes of back pain and instability after 60. Shikodachi gently reverses decades of tension caused by sitting. That's why people feel more mobile after just a few weeks of practice, even if they don't increase the duration much. The position itself recalibrates your center of gravity.
So what's a good progression for someone starting from zero?
Start with 20 to 30 seconds. Do it once a day. When your legs feel steadier, move to a minute. The key is consistency, not perfection. This isn't about becoming a sumo wrestler. It's about making your legs your allies again.
It's powerful to hear you say that, because I think many listeners assume their legs are failing them, when in reality, they've just been ignored. And this position offers a way to rebuild trust in your own body. It's strong, but forgiving. Which makes me curious. After we've reactivated our strength, how do we begin rebuilding balance? What's the second movement, doctor?
Balance begins with how you stand, but more importantly, how you shift your weight. So therefore we use the Nekawashi, Dachi, or cat foot stance. It trains the body to live on alert, not tense but responsive. We ask the front foot to become light, almost weightless, while the back foot carries the most of the load. It reawakens the stabilizer muscles that fall asleep when we rely too much on shoes, chairs, or even smooth flooring.
So instead of bracing yourself, you're learning to feel your way through space again, like a cat walking along a narrow ledge.
Exactly. In fact, the stance comes from karate, where readiness and balance are everything. It was designed not for attack, but for control.
And I imagine most seniors don't realize how many of those small, deep muscles they're no longer using until they need them to prevent a fall.
That's the trap. We only notice balance when we've lost it. But Nekawashi Dachi can retrain that system before it fails. It targets the intrinsic muscles of the feet, the small ones that shape your arch and connect to your brain's sense of position. It activates the ankle stabilizers, hip rotators, and transverse core muscles. All of these fire up in one simple pose, held with intention. What's interesting is that studies from Osaka University have shown this posture increases neuromuscular coordination after just 2 weeks of daily practice. It's not strength alone, it's timing, sequencing, and awareness. You hold the stance for 30 seconds on each side and you start to feel your foot learning again. Even people with neuropathy report better connection and control.
That's a bold claim, and yet it makes sense, because you're not just building muscles, you're rebuilding the communication between your body and your brain.
Correct. Balance isn't just in the legs. It's a full-body relationship.
And most people think of balance as something you either have or don't, like a trait that disappears with age. But what you're saying is balance is a skill we can sharpen.
And a skill we must sharpen before life forces us to. Nekawashi Dachi doesn't require perfect coordination to start. You can do it beside a chair. The first day you may wobble, but that's good. Wobbling is the nervous system trying to reconnect. With each attempt, your body gets smarter.
So once we've rebuilt balance and lower body strength, what's the next movement Japanese elders do every day?
We call it Seiza. In Japanese, it simply means proper sitting but the effect it has on the body is profound. It teaches your spine how to support itself again, not through tension, but through natural alignment. And more importantly, it reverses the hip tightness that causes so many of the postural problems we blame on aging.
So this isn't just about sitting differently. It's about retraining the muscles that hold us upright?
Yes, Seiza stretches the hip flexors and quadriceps while subtly activating the deep core muscles. You're not slouching or bracing, you're held up by your own internal scaffolding.
And the position itself forces a kind of presence, doesn't it? You can't do it mindlessly. Your whole body has to participate.
That's why it was used for centuries in tea ceremonies and meditation. It cultivates stillness with structure. But the health benefit is what surprises people. After just a few weeks of practicing Seiza for a few minutes a day, we see changes in how people walk, breathe and sit throughout the day. It realigns the pelvis, reduces forward head posture, and even improves digestion. The science supports it too. Research from Kyoto University found that seated postures like Seiza engage the transverse abdominis and spinal erectors at levels comparable to modern core training, without a single crunch or plank. And because you're seated on your heels, you decompress the lower back while gently stretching the knees and ankles, areas that stiffen quickly after 60. It's functional, not decorative. You're restoring the foundation of upright movement.
It's interesting because most people avoid positions like this thinking they're bad for the knees, but you're saying it actually helps restore joint function.
With the right modifications, yes. If the knees are sensitive, you can place a firm cushion between the hips and heels. That reduces pressure while still reaping the postural benefits.
That's important because accessibility matters. People need to know they can start from where they are. And I love what you said about internal scaffolding. That's such a different approach than bracing or forcing posture. It's more about remembering how to stack the body naturally. So what movement is next?
Next is Zazen. It means seated meditation. But don't think of it as just mental. It's deeply physical. In Zazen, the spine becomes your anchor. It strengthens the deep postural muscles that conventional exercises miss, and it teaches the body to be still without collapsing.
So this is different from relaxation. It's more like alert stillness.
Exactly. The posture is effortless only when the right muscles are engaged. You sit upright, not by tension, but by balance.
And how does that translate into better function? Is this something that improves movement or just internal states?
Both. In studies from Keio University and published in the Journal of Integrative Neuroscience, Zazen has been shown to activate the parasympathetic nervous system while increasing multifidus and psoas engagement. That means it calms the body while strengthening it from the inside out. Over time, this improves breathing, digestion, and spinal alignment. You start by sitting cross-legged, ideally in lotus if possible, but any comfortable seated posture will work. The key is the spine. Upright, but not forced. Chin slightly tucked, shoulders soft, hands resting gently. The goal isn't to meditate perfectly, it's to remain present in the posture, breathing steadily. Just 5 minutes a day can transform how you carry yourself, physically and emotionally.
That's a striking idea, that the way you sit could affect not just posture, but the nervous system too.
And it does. Calm posture creates a calm mind. It's a loop.
It's a posture we rarely practice in modern life, yet it seems to be a gateway to deeper strength. And I imagine for many seniors, this offers a way to reconnect with their body gently without needing equipment or intensity. That said, once that deep core is engaged, what's the next movement Japanese elders do daily?
We call it Kibadachi. It's called the horse riding stance. And it's one of the most effective ways to build leg strength safely after 60. Unlike dynamic squats, Kibadachi develops power through stillness. It teaches the legs to stabilize laterally, which is a direction most seniors never train. And that's exactly why they lose balance when shifting sideways.
So it's more than just strength. It's multi-directional control.
Yes, and it trains muscles most people don't even know they have. The abductors, adductors, deep glutes, all working together in harmony.
And I imagine it's also addressing the hips, especially the kind of tightness that builds up from decades of sitting.
It is. In fact, Kibadachi begins with hip alignment. You take a wide stance, wider than shoulder width, and lower your hips as if sitting on an invisible horse. The spine stays upright, chest open, core engaged. Feet stay flat and the knees track over the ankles, not collapsing inward. It's a demanding posture, but because it's static, there's very little joint strain. Japanese martial artists hold it for minutes at a time, but for elders, even 30 seconds is transformative. It strengthens the thighs, glutes, and hips all at once. And most importantly, it trains proprioception, your body's ability to sense its position in space. That's what helps prevent stumbles on uneven ground or quick turns.
That last part is key, because it's often those small missteps that lead to falls.
And they're preventable. Kibadachi builds the kind of real-world strength that makes you sure-footed again.
What I love about this is how little you need. No gym, no weights, just your body, the floor, and a few minutes of focus. But now, I'm curious, after all this strength and alignment, how do Japanese elders test that everything's working together?
And they're preventable. Kibadachi builds the kind of real-world strength that makes you sure-footed again.
So this isn't about reps or motion. It's about sustained engagement?
Yes, isometric holds demand quiet focus and real strength. There's no momentum to help you, just your own body.
And what's happening physiologically in that hold? Why is it so powerful?
Several things. Studies from Tokyo Metropolitan Geriatric Hospital show that wall squats activate the quadriceps, glutes, hamstrings, and core more evenly than dynamic squats, but with far less joint pressure. The static position also promotes muscle capillarization, which means better blood flow and oxygen delivery throughout the legs. That's vital for people with slow recovery, poor circulation, or early-stage sarcopenia. At the same time, the isometric stress improves neuromuscular recruitment, helping the body learn how to engage more muscle fibers at once. And because you're in full control, you can make micro-adjustments to ensure proper alignment, like keeping knees over ankles and spine neutral. For those with knee issues, adding a soft ball between the knees helps maintain joint tracking and activates the adductors.
I like that you can scale the challenge without compromising the safety.
That's the beauty of it. Simplicity that adapts to any level.
And I can see how this gives people a reference point, something they can improve on week by week. There's a sense of progress without needing machines or measurements, and maybe that's why it's so empowering. But I know a lot of listeners are probably wondering, how do you take all these movements and actually fit them into a day without it becoming a burden?
It's not about doing everything at once. It's about consistency, not intensity. Japanese elders integrate these movements into morning and evening rituals. Short, intentional, and repeatable. Just 5 to 15 minutes a day creates strength that compounds over time.
So it becomes part of the rhythm of your life, not a separate task.
Exactly. In the morning, you wake the body gently. Seiza, Zazen, then Nekawashi, Dachi. At night, you restore and rebuild. Shikodachi, Kibadachi, and a final wall squat.
And what about progression? How do they know when to do more or less?
It's guided by how the body feels, not by numbers. In the first 2 weeks, the focus is simply learning the shapes. How to stack the joints, how to breathe. You're training awareness as much as muscles. Weeks 3 and 4, you increase the hold times gradually, maybe by 15 or 30 seconds each week. There's no rush. After a month, many elders begin to explore small variations, gentle arm movements in the stance, shifting balance, closing the eyes to enhance proprioception. It becomes playful, not a chore. That's the spirit of Kaizen. Small, continuous improvement, and when it's practiced daily, even briefly, it rewires your brain to seek movement instead of avoid it.
That shift from discipline to desire, that's when it becomes sustainable.
And joyful, because it's not exercise anymore, it's identity.
That's such a powerful note to end on. I think what you've given people today isn't just a routine, it's a way of seeing themselves differently. And if you want this routine, on a clear exercise sheet with all tips and tricks regarding your own ability, leave us a comment and we will send you the link.